Kira, Webster, thank you so much for joining us today. We would love to hear more about your social media. It seems that a lot of credit unions and banks today are struggling with social media because you want to make it interesting, you want to make it entertaining, you want to make it fun, but they're not getting the type of interaction and engagement that they'd like to get. And it seems that you have cracked the code and you've been producing regularly, you've been producing videos that are getting engagement, that are interesting, that are just very relatable. So can you tell us a little bit about that, how it's working? Kira, if you can give us some background, and then Webster, we'd love to hear the nitty gritty.
Yes, thank you for having us. I've been with the organization 19 years. Webster's been with the organization 6 going on 7. So we both have been around a decent amount of time. I certainly have a much longer runway in view of our social media channels. I've been here since we stood them up. And it's interesting to see how they've evolved. Social media is never static for very long. There's always a new platform, there's a new algorithm, there's a new trend. And it's really hard to kind of nail down, what's going to be effective. And I think what has happened recently is part of that is it's behind the scenes. It's not just what's on camera. It takes a special person behind the camera creating the content, interacting with people to really make the content authentic and engaging and really building trust with the people who are interacting with them. And I would say that is 100% what we found in Webster. He has great rapport with our staff. He has really done a lot as far as research, looking into equipment that we needed. I mean, when we started out, we had basically I think it was like an iPhone 8 or something along those lines as our camera. And we've done a lot of investing in the right equipment, the right lighting, the right audio. He's gone to conferences, he's taken, a lot of webinars, and he really has processed that information, really tried to figure out how to apply that to our social media and make it the best it can be. But really it has a lot to do with the person behind the camera. And we have found a real find and a real gem and a real asset to our organization in Webster.
Okay, you better love him, Kira, because we're going to hire him next. And I think every credit union is going to want to hire him.
He's ours. We're going to keep him.
Awesome. So I think what credit unions and banks need to do more is develop their own Webster in-house, find somebody who has a propensity to this, who can do it for them and do it well. So Webster, what can you tell us about the magic that you're working on your social media?
Thank you for the question. I think for me, like Kira said, this has been a work in progress for several years. When I came in, social media looked a lot different and it operated a lot differently. I think for the most part, the last couple of years has been me trying to build trust in our employees and just get people comfortable with being on camera and showing them that it's not about us. We're not going to make fun of them. It's not going to be something that's going to be damaging to their repertoire. It's really, we're here for them and we're here to highlight them as employees and as members of our community, as friends, and just as humans. And I think the more people have seen that, the more they've been excited to be a part of the videos. And I also think something that really stuck with me when Kira was mentioning the audio, the equipment. I think, yes, it's very important to invest in equipment, but something that really stuck with me from this conference that I went to recently is they just mentioned you want the equipment that you will use. And really that's the key, is that you need to make sure that you're investing in things that your people will actually use, and you need to be there. You need to show up and actually ask the questions of these employees. And I think as social media has evolved, we have gone from being this, people are just craving more and more connections. Because I mean, with even AI coming up recently and just being a big topic in society, I think more and more people really want to make actual human connections with each other, and they want to hear voices that are undeniably something that they connect with. And that's really what I've been trying to capture. And for me personally, I think I'm not the most entertaining person, and I think I've tried to be in the past. I think there's a lot of pressure if you're in the social channels to try to be the most cool or the most funny person, or it's not achievable, I think, for people and for organizations of a certain size. I think a lot of bigger businesses are always going to have more money to invest in being the most exciting and innovative, and there's always going to be, they can find the funniest people, they can hire the funniest people, but really everyone has the ability to be authentic and honest. And I think it does take some courage, and I think that's part of the point of building the trust with employees, is you really want to build the trust and show them that you're here for them and we're all in this together, and just be interested in your employees, be interested in your members, and just let it develop. Ask questions, listen to them to the point of like really understanding what makes them tick, and then dig into it, because there's something in everyone.
I love that, Webster. I'm sorry, go ahead, Nicole.
No, I think you were just speaking to us earlier about a company-wide chat that you had and a way to kind of promote internally. So could you talk to us a little bit about that too?
Yeah, we have a company-wide chat, and that's really a place for our employees to connect. We have employees who work out of state. We have employees who work remotely, part-time in the office. So it's hard to get everybody in the same place at the same time. And that chat really is a place where people connect and interact daily. And Webster, one thing he's done is it's been really, really effective, and he's done a great job with it, and is really posting the content in chat when it's developed and letting people know it's now out on our social channels, and highlighting the employees. He did a great piece with one of our employees, Brooke, and I think that was really what kind of kicked it off, of sharing it out in chat, showing that Brooke was vulnerable and real and sharing her story, and really being encouraging of that and really supportive and highlighting her willingness to be vulnerable and share her story. And so the ask is there. It's just, you have to ask employees, we think this is a great story. If you think so too, we would love it if you would share it in your own personal socials. So not just liking our personal or our credit union socials, but going out and sharing the content with their audiences and really getting that reach that we're looking for.
I love that. So basically you're saying that it's not to get that reach. It's not just we're going to put out great content. We're going to put out content that's so authentic, that's so real, that people want to share it with others, so that people will share it themselves on their own social channels. And what's interesting about that is for years, we've been telling credit unions, don't just write on your own. So don't just post to your own social channel, post on the social channels of other people. Post if your members have small businesses or whatever it is, you can post on their channels, and everybody wants communication, everybody wants engagement. So that's great. But especially, Webster, I love what you said about don't try to be the coolest. Don't try to be the funniest. People there's always going to be somebody better than you to do that. And I think that really takes the pressure off a credit union marketer who is looking to just get the word out there. I don't have to go to acting school. I don't have to be young and crazy and be dancing on an Instagram video. I can just be me. I can be real. I can talk about who I am or interview somebody about who they are. And that's really what social media is. I mean, it's social. We're craving those type of connections. Yes, entertainment, but we also just want that realness, that authenticity that anybody can be. To me, that just takes the pressure off.
Oh, here, would you like to go?
No, I was just going to say, I think one of the things that Webster has done is he's given people permission to be vulnerable by being vulnerable himself. He was the first one to go in front of the camera and really just have that moment of vulnerability and owned it and said, if I'm going to record people and I'm going to ask them to do this, then I have to be willing to do it myself. And so to his credit, I think that's one of the things that anybody in this position really has to embrace is you have to be vulnerable with people for them to be vulnerable with you. You have to really create that trust and create that connection with them. I would say Webster, he says he's not the most entertaining or funniest people in the credit union. I would disagree. But I would say that he probably is the most caring and compassionate person. He genuinely cares about people. He wants to hear their story. He is interested, he listens, and he just has a natural ability to connect with people. And I think that's something that's so huge in this role. You have to be able to create those relationships.
I love that. Totally love that. So but again, it takes the pressure off, because All you have to do is be vulnerable. All you have to do is be yourself. So that is just awesome. Can you tell us a little bit, Webster, about the equipment? And I love what you said about make sure you're buying equipment that you can use, not just, oh, this looks good, this is on sale or whatever, if you're not going to use it. So I think you have to have a certain level of understanding. And if a credit union doesn't have Webster on staff, if they're not that lucky and they don't have the budget to hire someone, what can a regular marketing director, and very often we see that credit unions have a marketing department of one. You know, how often do you hear that it's just one person? How can that one person do what you're doing? What equipment would they need?
Frankly, I think something that I heard often and when I was out at the conference that I just gone to, and when I've been at conferences in the past, is just bring your smartphone. Everyone has a smartphone nowadays. Is you can start there. That's kind of where I started. And I think really, I mean, if you go out and you look at, you know, the popular TikToks nowadays, it's yes, some have really nice staged equipment. They have the ring lights and everything, but a lot of people are just capturing authenticity now by being genuinely authentic. They don't have to go out and get all the fancy equipment and really set everything up. They're just capturing moments in life. So I think that's somewhere to start if you don't have anything. If you're just a department of one, just go out and film things and practice. And I think that will come across, like inevitably you're going to get something good if you just keep going. And
so you're giving us permission to buy nothing.
there's that first. There's
Mhm.
also, I mean, there's great equipment just for smartphones. If you want to start with a smartphone, I think frankly, most of the time, that's what I end up with nowadays. We have the big cameras, we have the equipment to go a little bit more professional and staged with it. But most of the time, I feel like that scares people. Setting up a big camera in their face. But if I put up a phone on a stick, people are more willing to talk to me because it's kind of silly. They're just still talking to me, you know, it's not as much pressure. So, I mean, you can buy cheap ring lights to put on your smartphone. I have a little lav mic that was, I think, you know, $25 that was recommended through Amazon. And there's just little things that you can get just to kind of up your game a little, just to make sure it's easier to consume the content. I think audio is pretty important. So for me, I think you can find good lighting, you can find it in Windows, but just maybe invest in your audio first so people can really listen to it and hear it.
Yeah. So
What's the new toy? Tell them about the new toy you just got, because that's something you've been very excited about.
Okay, there is one thing. I do have a fancy little stabilizer that I got. So it's, you know, you put your little iPhone on kind of a stick and it just keeps the phone stable. So again, that kind of it helps improve the quality of the videos that you're recording. So that one's, I think, more of an investment, but I think that is also something, if you're looking for something that would really up your game, that I mean, most of the famous TikTokers will get first. And again, these are people that are just doing it in their house. They're just, YouTubers are often like just people. They don't have a whole lot of money to invest either. And usually it is just them. So I think a lot of them are investing in these little stabilizers that you can also get on Amazon. And it's a little bit, it's probably a little bit over the $100 range. But if that's something that a department can invest in, I absolutely suggest it.
Yeah, no, that's very reasonable. So when you say stabilizer, you're talking about like a tripod kind of thing?
So yes, I think tripods are very important. I think it's important to be dynamic. So yeah, kind of mix up. There is some benefit to being the person behind the camera, because I think and holding the camera rather than just always putting it on a tripod and recording. And I think you learn a little bit more as you watch videos and watch kind of the types of content that really resonate with you, that you can see sometimes people are holding the camera and you can kind of sense someone behind that camera and it feels already human and authentic because there's a presence behind it. And it doesn't feel like it's super professional and polished and like someone that's untouchable. But there's the stabilizer itself it's just like a little, I don't know how they're I think they're just called camera stabilizers.
It's a handheld tool, correct?
Yes.
Cool. Okay, so you're holding the camera and this tool is helping you stabilize it, but it's It's not quite a tripod where you're putting it down and just leaving it. Okay, got it, got it. Okay, I've actually never heard of something like that. So I like what you said, you bring a big camera, people might be intimidated by that. So if you're just using a phone, I mean, everybody's got a phone in their pocket, it'll help them be more natural and just be themselves and be authentic. So if I'm hearing correctly, it's you can do it. You're giving everybody permission just to shoot on their iPhones, and that's good. But if they do have some extra funds for this, you would recommend a stabilizer where you're holding the camera, but it's stable. Maybe a light ring, even though we can, get light from anywhere, and potentially a mic, right? Which would help with the audio.
Absolutely. I think if you're just starting out and you really don't have much, a little lav mic that you can put on people who are talking just to improve your audio would be really important. And also just a camera tripod so you can be stable. You can get those still shots when you need them. Just remember to be dynamic and think through kind of what you're trying to accomplish with the shot and what you're recording, and don't just rely on one thing or the other. So don't rely on the tripod and always get tripod shots. Don't always hold the camera. Really, you just have to think through what you're trying to be as a person. Like, what do you resonate with? What speaks to you? And go out and watch videos.
So watch videos of other people doing things that are personal, things like that. Okay, cool. Cool. No, that's great. So if a credit union is small, they don't have a lot of employees, would you say they can go out there and start interviewing their members? Is that something you've ever done?
It is, yes. Actually, I just started doing that. I think it's taken me personally a few years to really feel like I'm in a point where I can really showcase them, because I feel like if I'm going to ask a member to come in and do an interview, I really want to be confident in my ability to make them look like we want them to, showcase them as a person. And I think I finally got to that point where I really feel like I can reach out to these members and show them in the best light possible. And so I did actually just post my first interview with a member for us the other day, and I think it went really well. I have more plans in the future to start reaching out to members. And I think as far as I've seen so far, there's different personality types. Some people really don't want to be in front of the camera, and they're happy to give you a little review, but they don't necessarily want that spotlight. But I think for this particular member, and for members that might respond to that request, I think they got excited, and I've seen excitement over the interviews that I've already posted. So they've seen kind of what we've been doing with other employees. And this particular member that I posted, her name was Diane. She was very excited to be the voice of the membership she just wanted to show that she matters. And you can see that in the video, and that not only for herself, but for all of the other members that she represented. And she was excited for other members to do it. It wasn't like she wanted the spot. I think again, this kind of comes back to she wants to be a part of the team. She doesn't want to be in the spotlight. And I think that's kind of what credit unions are about, is just everyone coming together and showcasing everyone's diverse strengths.
And Webb, share with them how you got the member that you just interviewed, and how you're getting those members, how you're
That was
making
going to
those
be my next
connections.
question, Kira.
And in that regard, I've even with employees, what I've been using is, members leave reviews. Members leave, for us, we have NPS comments internally, and what I've been doing is responding to Google reviews that highlight employees. And I've used that kind of as a catalyst or a conversation starter to be like, hey, you got this great review. Can I talk to you? And same goes for the members. If they leave us a great review, and they kind of give us a story in their review, like, hey, I used this credit union and I was going through a really tough time, or they helped me through this really important part of my life, or you kind of have to read between the lines. Like, often they'll mention their car, but that's what I've been doing, is I've been reaching out to members who have been using or have been leaving us reviews, and just kind of using that as like a conversation starter. I'm being like, hey, you left us this great review. We want to hear your story. Would you be willing to tell us and talk to us about it. And we just want to highlight you on social media, and it helps to have those backup videos to be like, this is kind of what it looks like. So it's not so scary. I mean, it's just gonna, frankly, I was honest, I just said, it's just an iPhone. But it's really fun. We're gonna have fun. And I did. I think she did too.
Awesome. Awesome. So this is something you see yourself continuing, like putting it out there for members that they can be part of this campaign and, you know, interviewing them, telling their story.
Definitely. I think I mean, frankly, I think I can get employees to be in it a little easier, but I think the more members that can see themselves in these videos, the more likely I think they're going to be willing to do this. It's cool to just see that, like, again, you're a part of the team. So I think I just want to keep going and building that that database essentially of members that we're highlighting and just showing the diversity among a group. But absolutely, I want to keep going. I think it's been really rewarding to meet the members so far.
I love it. How often do you do a new video?
I've been aiming for at least once a week,
Wow.
or twice a week if I can get that going. But really, I think the key is to make sure you're consistent, whatever consistency looks like to your credit union. So whether it's once a month, once every 2 weeks, just make sure you're consistent, as well as put out quality videos. It doesn't have to be quality as far as polished goes. I think you just want to make sure that what you're posting is something that provides value in some way.
Yeah. Yeah. Are you asking the same questions to each person, or do you just start with an initial question and let it go on its take on a life of its own?
No, I typically have a backup of questions just to make sure, but really, I mean, for this member, I didn't touch it. I just listened to her and kept asking questions, and the questions form themselves, you know, that if you're really interested in a person, it's just like talking in your living room. You just get to
Sure.
know people. So
Yeah, yeah, and people love that. People love that authenticity, like you said. So when you're doing this video, it's done. How much editing goes into this, or are you just posting it as is?
there is quite a bit of editing. I think, frankly, so I have used a lot of the Adobe suite. I know how to use After Effects, Premiere, all of the big names. But these days, the videos that you've seen on social media are just edited in CapCut. So there isn't, CapCut is a TikTok software, TikTok app. So really, you can do editing with a lot of the tools. They're so advanced nowadays, and they're quick. And that's what I like about it is, sure, I can take the time if I need to pull it into a big editing to Adobe, but really, if you want to get it out there fast, and it provides even more tools than some of the Adobe suite, at least more accessible. So I think if you can take time to get familiar with that, you're good to go. You're golden.
Yeah, CapCut is not something you need to go to school for. I mean, like you said, it's owned by the owners of TikTok, and it's real simple to use. We've used it in-house as well. It's something anybody can do. So you're saying that people can edit their own videos, doesn't need a whole lot of editing, and you're good to go. You shoot the video, you edit, and that's all that needs to happen. Once you've edited, are you sending it to the person who you videoed to get their approval? Do you need to get any documents signed, or are you just, their approval was to do the video and then you just post it?
We actually do have, when people are hired now, when anyone joins our team, we have a social media release form that they can choose to sign or not sign. And so I do double check, frankly. So there's a few steps. So I make sure that they have signed it, which most people nowadays have. And I think that it's part of the trust that we've built up in our organization, is they trust us to ask and not put them in a negative light. And then even then, though, I mean, they're consenting, I think, when we're filming the video, that they know that this is an interview that's going to be posted. So they're excited about it. And I kind of leave it up to them. I think often for me, I get a little cheeky and I just say, you'll see it. And I think that hasn't gone badly for me personally. I think I really try to have an understanding of what they want to talk about and what they want highlighted. And I try to reassure them, even as I'm filming, like that, okay, that's not going to be in it. Don't worry, just keep talking. And like, I can pull out the parts that you could sense that they're just really passionate about. And that's really what I put forward. So for employees, yes, I just kind of, I wing it, but I think it is a good idea to make sure that they're comfortable with that. And if they are really hesitant, I will show them ahead of time. There are people who have asked ahead of time, can I see this? And I will absolutely do that for them. And for this member, I absolutely showed her first, and she was so excited about it that she had no qualms. She didn't have any questions or anything like that. She's just excited for it to be out there. So
No, that's great. My concern would be if somebody said to you after they watched it, oh, I don't like this, I don't like that. And then you've got, are you going to redo it? Do you have to, edit pieces out and things like that?
I think that speaks to the trust that our staff has with Webster. I think he's just built up that reputation that he produces exceptional work. He knows what he's doing. He definitely wants to highlight and showcase people in the most positive, authentic way. And so I think that really is, it's just staff he's built that trust and has that reputation internally that people do just trust that he will do he will produce the best product at the end.
Cool. That's awesome. That's awesome. So what type of results have you seen so far from what you've been doing?
So in terms of analytics and all of the, the numbers, I think since I have started posting, more employee first videos and more members and highlights, it's just been staggering, the difference. I think for the most part, what we've seen really skyrocket is shares, which is very important nowadays. I think, you can only reach a certain audience over and over again with your page, but depending on who shares it, you could reach all of their friends and family, and you don't know who could share it from there. And I think what's interesting about Facebook is you can see kind of hints that people are commenting on videos, but you can't always see all of the comments because they're on shares. But I mean, I've seen posts where like there's 80 plus comments that I can't see. I mean, just based on the context, you can tell they're nice. Like I'm sure there's something in there that you can't see that might be a little cheeky and something less exciting. But I think for the most part, people are just really happy to talk about employees and talk about their experiences. And I think just that's been a really positive increase in the past month, which is when we really launched it. We launched it kind of with our brand refresh, just this change in our social media strategy. And I think comments, likes, really, again, skyrocketed. I think what's really exciting to me personally is people are talking about it in the organization. They're talking about it kind of with their own friends and family. It's not just social media specific engagement. They're actually talking in real life to their friends and family, which is, I think, more of a compliment in the end. And that's what you want.
Yeah, no, that's incredible, Webster, because I think that's something everybody struggles with. We all want word of mouth marketing. We all want people talking about us, and you're giving us permission to just take out an iPhone and shoot normal, authentic video. Nobody has to go to acting school here. And I think that's incredible that, people do want, it's what years ago was called human interest in newspapers. I mean, that's what people want. It's social media. We've got to be social. People are looking for that connection, like you say. If a credit union wanted to do what you're saying here and wanted to work on this campaign, what would you advise them other than to hire you, Webster, which, clearly Kira's not letting us do that. So yeah, we're with you, Kira. No one's, Webster's, has a job. We got that. So if somebody just wants to become Webster themselves, if they want to be the one doing that, what would you advise them? What do they need to do?
Thank you for the question. I think, like Kira's mentioned, like we've mentioned a few times, really trust is a huge part of authenticity and being vulnerable. So working on those interdepartmental relationships with your members, being authentic, you have to start with being authentic first. You can't come with 50% of yourself. I think people can sense that. And when you really take down those walls, I think it really comes across to members and employees and anyone that you're trying to reach. And that's one step. And I think another step is really evaluate what your strengths are, because I think it took me a long time, and I think a lot of denial to acknowledge that I am really like, this is my strength, is just getting to know people. I thought, maybe I need to lean into the funny aspect. Maybe I need, and I think you can be funny. A lot of people can be funny. And if that's your strength, absolutely lean into that. Try to figure out what you're really good at, and lean into it. I think that's really a huge part of it that I think takes some time. Whoever is in control of social media, whoever is responsible for kind of building that repertoire and that excitement, you really kind of have to be more aware of yourself than I think most people want to admit, and lean into it.
Cool. Thank you. Is there anything else, Kira, Webster, that you want to add? Anything else you want to tell credit unions looking to get more likes and shares and be more authentic on social media?
I think one of the things, and Webster already touched on it, is really, as far as the member stories, our members love us. And we see that in our Net Promoter Score surveys. We work with another individual and ask for her to share those comments, because we see all these wonderful comments coming through in a very private channel. And so that is really what Webster has done, is really trying to take that glowing review that's in a very, private internal channel and bring it to life externally, reaching out to those people, asking if they're willing to expand on those stories and, get in front of the camera. And I think that's one of the things that is an often overlooked piece of it in social media, is really, we love to showcase ourselves. We love to, talk about our people, because we do have great people, but I think that's looking at the membership and really diving into who your members are and showcasing them, because I think people relate to people, and certainly the more diverse group of people you can put in front of a camera, you're just going to have that many more relatable stories.
I love it. So, just mix it up a little bit, have everybody, different people, different types of people. I would say even different stages of life, right? You can have some older people, some younger people. Diversity comes in all shapes and sizes. So wherever you can make it, different and interesting, people will enjoy that.
Yeah, and if I can add one more thing, I think one thing that's really important to me and has really helped me, I guess, up my game in the past few years, is really just going out and consuming the type of content that you actually enjoy, that really connects with that. It ticks that part of your brain that like you're talking to someone and you're connecting with someone. I think going and exposing yourself to new things and things that work is a really important part of social media strategy. And I think it's often overlooked. And I just think that's something that everyone can do, is just go out and watch the kinds of things that people want to watch and kind of identify what makes it good.
So we can spend time just, being on social media, watching things and call it work. Okay, that's good. That works for me. No, that's great, Webster. All kidding aside, I think that is important. It's like you have to consume the type of content you want to produce in order to really understand it, and to understand what's going to make you successful. Look at the best of the best, and then bring that to your own game. So that is awesome. One other question for you: which conference was this? Is this an ongoing thing, or is this something that people can go to or get recordings of?
It is, yes. So this one specifically that I've been to has been going on for 10 years. It's a social media marketing world. And I think many people who have been involved in the social media space have probably come across Social Media Examiner before, and that's who presents it. And I think, again, I have been to a few different conferences, and I think often a lot of them are kind of repeating the same things. I've heard this over and over again, and sometimes it does take time to connect and really put the pieces together. And I think just this conference specifically did a great job of putting everything in a relatable, digestible way, all of this information that I've been hearing for years. So I think it's probably stuff that everyone has been hearing. It's just reframing it so that it makes sense.
And I'll also say that just seeing somebody doing it makes it more realistic for others. So if every credit union marketer went to your website, saw the type of videos you're putting out, they might be encouraged to be doing this type of thing themselves.
That would be great.
Yeah, we're going to make the world a more social media savvy world. So that is awesome. Awesome. Well, Kira, Webster, thank you so much. This has been awesome. Really appreciate you having you here and answering these questions. I know this will be helpful for other credit unions as well. And if other credit unions wanted to look at your social media, we'll just include the link here so that they can take a look. And I think it was on your Instagram where we found you most active. Is there another? Are you on Facebook, on TikTok?
We are in all the places. We have Facebook, TikTok, Twitter, Instagram, LinkedIn.
Awesome. Awesome. We'll take a look and we'll include those links so everybody can see it. So thank you very much for being here with us. Very much appreciated.
Yes, thank you so much. We really enjoyed the conversation.